These guys are in Texas.
It's this SA. Oh, Santana.
I believe they're in Texas. I honestly, actually, I don't know where they are.
This is Santana.
Well, yeah, that's Santana.
I don't know why.
Tito Santana?
This might be an old fight. I don't know why you're still excited about it.
It's not an old fight.
It's got Santana in it. And look at him young.
Not Carlos Santana.
It's got Carlos.
That's not Carlos.
That's not Carlos.
That's not guitar.
That's Tito.
That's not guitar virtuoso.
Carlos
Santana.
I didn't know they could use the same name. I thought it was like copyrighted.
It's a person's real name.
Yeah, but Carlos used it first.
Right. Well, it's the Brew and the Fruit, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. We're glad you're still with us, hopefully.
And thank you for joining us if you've never listened to us before.
And
if you haven't,
if this is the first time you've tuned in, welcome.
And I don't know why this would be the first time.
And if it's the second time you've tuned in, why?
No, keep sticking around. Come join the conversation.
Why are you wasting your time?
Well, maybe they
don't you have something better to do?
Yeah, they're probably working. They need a friend in their ear.
Better channels out there.
Or they're quarantining at home and they're sad and alone.
Yeah.
You could watch Hallmark.
Oh, that's the worst.
You could watch...
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
What about Shopping
Have
Channel?
you ever seen those Hallmark Christmas movies?
Yeah, they're awful.
They're beautiful.
Awful.
Everybody's so
very
clean
sweet
and pretty.
And
everyone's decorations are fabulous.
And they're very innocent.
Except for the murderers.
The bad guy. There's the bad guy in the movie who's
But everyone else is sweet.
Right.
They're such sweet
They all bake
people.
cookies and then they have to solve murders.
Oh, no.
Hi, remember me from the Full House?
Oh,
With
yeah.
Bob Saget? Now I'm solving murders on
My
Hallmark.
brother was on Growing Pains.
Cameron?
Yeah. Her brother Kirk Cameron.
They're related?
Yeah. Don't you see it in their face? They look the exact same when they were kids.
I do now.
Yeah. Yeah, think about the money they were bringing in. Like, think Growing Pains and Full House. Think all that money they were raking in as kids.
Think of how much money their parents were raking in when they were kids, using their children as slaves.
I mean, how could you? You're not going to give all the money to the kid.
No,
well, it depends on how they have it set up, though. Because it could go to
the kid's going to be on heroin in like a year.
Some
if
of
they
them
got
are
to
like
spend
that.
money, all the way they wanted. They're going to be eating, garbage food. They're going to be killing themselves, basically.
Did Mary-Kate
Well, she wasn't
Ashley-
emancipated. She.
Oh.
That's if a child actor gets emancipated. A lot of times they'll get emancipated, so they have the right to their money because their parents are blowing it. Some showbiz parents actually weren't that awful. You never really hear too much about like the Savage Brothers, like their parents.
The parents can handle blowing it more than the kid, The parents can,
or the parents
get a
are
little
on
bit of a coke habit,
or the
going.
parents are on a strict allowance from their child's like savings fund that they can't touch until they're 18.
Imagine if you were talking about a kid in school and you said, okay, do you think a kid in school should be subjected to having a job where he sweeps floors and mops and cleans windows for 8 hours a day, like 5 nights a week? And they'd say, well, no, that's not right. And he's like, okay, so what if we just film him and then we force him into these situations that make him really uncomfortable, and then they can work 12-hour shifts and they can be homeschooled in a trailer alone.
There's
with
rules.
A teacher.
Is there rules?
And then
can a kid work overtime? Yeah. I mean, if they're on contract,
and then they can have their performance evaluated by hundreds of millions of people. When we air it on television.
Well, some shows
at least he's not sweeping floors.
Some shows need children. Okay, they need children. So back in the day when they're doing family sitcoms, they needed children for the roles, and there are children who want to be actors, and there are some who are obviously forced into it. I'm sure there's a lot of children who
there's some that want to be astronauts. So you don't launch them into space with a slingshot.
Okay,
maybe we should. I mean, yeah. So,
like, think of the Little Rascals movie and the kid that plays Alfalfa's nemesis. That's banging Darla.
Uh-huh.
Like, that kid is born to be on stage. Look him up. What's his name?
is for the way
You know what I mean? That
look
kid came
at me.
dancing out of the uterus, and needed, like, speaking of Full House, he was on Full House.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Burger. Some
Let's
kids
see.
just belong on
I know-
stage.
I know-
behind the camera.
The guy who played Alfalfa's name is Bug
Bug Hall.
Hall.
Wow.
Yeah. He played the youngest son in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
And he played in
Like,
that Disney
it
movie.
was-
like
it
when
was-
Disney first started
No,
doing-
sorry, it wasn't Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was in that series. It was Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, where Rick
okay.
Moranis shrinks himself.
So this kid's parents name him Bug and then force him to act, and
Yeah.
no one
Yes.
took him away.
Root and the fruit. The root and the fruit. The brute and the fruit. The brute
The fruit and the fruit.
What's your guess for the Rotten Tomatoes score for the Little Rascals?
That was an excellent movie. I would've guessed
1994.
I'm gonna say
90.
I'm gonna say it's a 92.
Okay.
Maybe it's less 84.
Okay. Tim, what's your guess?
90.
Wow, you guys are doing it all wrong.
What?
Oh, it's really bad.
Rotten Tomatoes, 23%.
By who? The people or the judges?
It's like a combination.
No, what's
Metacritic gave it
the-
a 45. IMDb or DB gave it a 6.3 out of 10, which is a better score than a
I thought it
23.
was
But
on
IMDb is by the fans, like by the actual users of IMDb, like the internet essentially.
Mhm.
Metacritic is going to be the overall score of all the scores. So what was the Metacritic
45.
out of 100? So less than 50. Rotten Tomatoes is either a critic score or the fan
Right.
score on
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes.
And this is the critics score.
Because they were talking about this on another podcast recently.
Really, about Little Rascals?
No, about IMDb scores. Specifically, they were talking about a 2000s movie about drumming at a historically black college.
Oh, Drumline.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Nick
oh,
Cannon.
yes. I know.
Nick
I know
Cannon.
what. I know
We watched that. They had us watch that in school.
I know the conversation you're talking about right now.
And it was actually scored
Really high. It's
pretty
like
high in the
84%.
80s often. And Little Rascals being lower than that. I mean, I haven't seen Drumline, so I don't know. But
I haven't seen Drumline either. I remember a lot of people in school liking Drumline, but I never watched it. But Little Rascals, I watched a ton when I was a child, and I always
maybe
liked
if
it.
we watched it now, we'd realize it wasn't so good.
That's true. I mean, it's probably just memory bias.
Maybe they're just social justice warriors rating it based on some sort of thing that we don't understand is wrong.
About the children actors.
Yeah. Or
Okay,
race. I don't know.
here we go. Burger.
the kid that played
Hey, Burger.
Waldo.
Talk into the microphone, for God's sake.
Not
Check.
that close.
The
Not
kid that played
close.
Waldo, his name is Blake McIver Ewing.
Yes, that kid. That's the dancer kid.
He looks incredible.
Can you look up why they
He's like
scored
a
it low?
supermodel. Except for when he smiles, he looks like Conan O'Brien. But when he doesn't smile, he looks
Hey,
incredible.
Conan's handsome.
Holy shit, look at this.
Oh boy.
I don't really want to.
Hold on. You'll
Burger.
like it.
I don't
Trust me.
wanna
I mean,
see
you
this.
won't
This is
like
something
it,
that
but
excites Burger, so... Yeah, it looks like a male model doing some kind of strip dance.
Doesn't even look like him.
yeah. Well, of course not. But
he
when
get
he
plastic
smiles,
surgery?
he looks like a creep.
Did he
So-
get plastic surgery?
No.
He's worked out a lot.
Here. Here's the smile. He looks like a demon.
Oh, yeah. He's got one of those
Oh,
concerned looks.
he looks like Chrisley.
He does. He looks like he's hiding something. Wait, I wonder if this guy's doing. Hold on. Let's see.
You know
Let's
they
see if he's
can't help
gay in
it.
real
It's
life.
kind of like a slight underbite that makes like the curvature of the lips upward slightly when they smile.
He looks like he could have played the Joker in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
A good Batman or a bad Batman? You know what I mean? Is it going to be a good one or a bad one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be a bad one because
So it's not
they're
going to be
all
like a
downhill.
Christopher Nolan one?
No, unless there was no such thing as
Arnold Schwarzenegger as
no. What's
Iceman.
the river? What's his name?
Joaquin Phoenix?
Heath Ledger.
Oh,
Who played
that's
that character
Christopher
so well.
Nolan. That's his movie.
So this one would be not as good.
What do you guys think about Christian Bale's?
That's
He's
the
a
same
faggot.
that Christopher Nolan Oh, do you mean Christian Bale's Batman or just those movies in general? Like his portrayal of Batman?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the.
I didn't mind it, but it's like I got over it, but I know I can understand how people were like annoyed by it or how it didn't make sense because why would his voice change? Like because he put on a suit, you know?
Is he the guy who played American Psycho?
Yeah.
Christian Bale, yeah.
I'm just connecting that now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it way more creepy for Batman if I had seen that movie prior.
Really?
Yeah. That makes it, because he was a rich guy
Yeah.
in American Psycho, and then in Batman, he's a rich guy.
Right.
But all of a sudden, he's like, I'm done killing people. I'm going to start.
Well, here's the thing. Was he killing people really in American Psycho, or was it all in his head?
And to think that guy somehow became Batman, where that makes more sense. So you'd have to be insane to be a rich man and start
he
fighting
took all that.
bogeys on the street.
There it is. He
got a good medication.
He got good medication and
through his training in Asia.
Yep.
That's where he got clean.
That's his discipline. He came
mentally.
back. Yeah. And he came back and he took the family wealth that he obviously had.
American Psycho is a prequel to Batman. We didn't know it until now.
Holy shit. What a breakthrough.
They didn't tell us.
They didn't tell us.
But now we know.
I like this idea. And guess what? In his mind, he kills Jared Leto. And Jared Leto played Joker in a different Batman
series.
Oh, yeah.
This is too real.
This is a absolute breakthrough.
Frightening.
Yeah. We should watch both of the movies back to back just to...
You know who the original director and the director combo for that movie was going to be? Scorsese and DiCaprio, supposedly.
Really?
DiCaprio?
DiCaprio?
No, DiCaprio was going to be playing
Batman?
The Christian Bale role in American Psycho. And Scorsese was going to direct it, but then something else came up and then they ended up... The studio didn't want to wait, so they gave it to the director, and she went with Christian Bale. Ooh, almost.
What was the goal?
What do you mean? It's an excellent movie. Are you trying to say something?
No, he was saying what was the goal of flipping your cap over onto his, like, what were you trying to make it into?
What were you trying to make it into? And then you said almost. There's just nothing over here.
I don't know what he was talking about.
I was just rooting for him. Because obviously he didn't make it because he didn't cheer. So I was like, oh, almost, bud. Nice try.
That's all I wanted. I've got 2 other bottle caps on that desk.
Yeah.
So I should have cheered. But.
Oh, man. Anyways. So Little Rascals is only at 26%.
That's actually terrible.
Yeah. What's
23%.
Matilda? What's Matilda?
Matilda's
How
got a
many
good
other
score.
bad movies are there that we like?
Matilda's absolutely going to be on this list of like movies that we're going to do a watch along to.
Yes.
So let's see. Matilda.
Yeah, actually,
I want to watch Matilda so bad, especially after watching Children of Men and seeing Pam Ferris. I'm like, yeah.
Children of Men was beautiful.
She had this tremendous performance in Matilda.
IMDb 6.9.
There we go. Thank you. The Fax Man, ladies and gentlemen.
What are you talking about, the Fax Man?
Yeah,
I give you the facts.
I'm the fax man.
He's the fax. He called it on the very first episode of the show. He's the fax machine. Remember?
Okay. Well, there you go.
We forgot about it.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Excellent movie, Matilda.
Thank you.
I've actually seen the cover many times and never picked it up.
It's a very
weird.
Cute movie. It's like a kids movie.
Yeah,
but
it's a very cute movie.
Really
But
well
it's
done.
like Toy Story in a way that it's just done terrifically.
It's Danny DeVito, so it's like Tim
I
Burton
like how
adjacent.
she's
And
a
Rhea
child,
Perlman.
but she looks like she's very tired with bags under her eyes.
That's
Because
Ben
it's-
Shapiro's cousin.
Really?
She also plays Robin Williams' daughter in Mrs. Doubtfire, which is one of the most creepy movies of
And
all
Robin
time.
Williams and Danny DeVito were together in Death to Smoochie.
Look at that.
Look, it's like an Adam Sandler sort of group that
Are
really
we
just
saying,
reads the
is
same
this
actors.
all conspiracy theories?
No, this is
Just coincidence.
American
Yeah.
Psycho was the prequel to Batman.
I like that theory.
That's a
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
That's one of those you can go on Reddit or wherever where they have fan theories. And you can just go, here you go. That might even
So
be a
like
fan
his
theory.
parents died
Yeah,
and he went insane.
a little bit, and that was his grief process. Grief process was like his daydreaming of killing everyone and like all that shit.
And then he was reformed and he wanted to do the opposite. He wanted to
needed
protect everyone.
he needed to get out of that depression.
Instead of wanting to kill everyone, he wants to protect everyone.
He realized that his answer was because his parents were killed. Like,
doesn't everyone who meets Bruce Wayne really like him?
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's charismatic.
He's charming
rich.
man. He's rich.
He's
and handsome.
This is
Michael Keaton.
The connections are really strong.
You should look that up, Facts Man. Look and
Okay.
see if there's any American Psycho Batman connection fan theories, because this is pretty good.
That's terrific.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Did you ever hear the fan theory about Rugrats? I always thought that was a great one.
Oh my god, what?
The Rugrats fan theory?
What is it?
It's for some whatever reason, the fan theory was that everything was in Angelica's head.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, look that one up. Look up the Rugrats fan theory.
Wow. American
Yeah, look it
Psycho
up.
and Batman relationship fan theories. First result.
Holy shit.
First
13
results.
million searches.
Oh, well, we didn't even have a breakthrough. What?
Oh.
I feel dumb.
I know. They've been talking about this for like 5 years.
Yeah.
now.
Patrick Bateman and Batman Mythos have a lot in common. For example,
Mythos.
he is Mythos, sorry. I'm dumb. He is
No, you're
similar to
beautiful.
Bruce Wayne, as they are
Randy.
both wealthy individuals with secret lives. One fights crime while the other is a serial killer. Also, it's in the name, Bateman and Batman.
Bateman and Batman.
Oh, I didn't realize
Ooh.
that. One letter makes a difference.
Holy
Don't
cow.
forget, they are both played by Christian Bale in their respective movies.
Go.
But I'm not trying to show you the relationship between the two. I am saying American Psycho is an alternative dimension in the Batman multiverse.
See, just like what we were just saying.
Well, I
Holy
was thinking
shit.
it was actually the same.
Oh, well, no, but no,
Timeline
he's
universe.
meaning the multiverse. Because, like, if you think about Jared Leto is in it, so that kind of creates a different connection. You know what I mean? It's like a big web, you know, like, you can pull stuff from all of it. It works.
I want it to be one universe,
Oh,
no multiverse.
I
But-
see.
I'm glad other people have noticed the same thing. I've never heard of this, by the way.
Neither have I.
Let's see if we've gotten any fan emails while I'm on the web, surfing it.
Today's show is brought to you by Mads Man Pads. Guys, we've heard the commercial on the show, but how's your experience been with Mads Man Pads?
My experience has been great because I do construction and I hate taking bathroom breaks because when I do, I lose too much momentum during the workday. So if I can continue working and be able to use the pads and not stop for a bathroom break, they help me to generate the most amount of production.
Now let's get this clear. This isn't some sort of like adult diaper or something. What this
That
is,
would be disgusting.
that would be gross. What this is a pad that fits discreetly in your trousers that helps absorb any sort of residue or fecal matter that might still be there from a dump that you took that maybe you weren't able to get all of it clean, or maybe you thought you got it all but you didn't. And it comes in 4 very good smelling
I gotta say,
flavors
these
or
scents
Yeah.
are my favorite part about the pads, because I used to have an office job where I would sit for hours at hours.
Yeah.
That was my whole job, was sitting.
and you get
And
a
I'd
whiff.
get a lot of, I'd rip a lot. I'd rip a lot because I drank too much the night before, and I wouldn't know if, like, hey, am I still fresh down there?
And
But you get that scent and you feel it. You know you're fresh. It's a confident building thing.
definitely, they have ocean sea breeze as a flavor. That's a really good one. They have musk. There's a oaky flavor that's more our flavor. I keep saying flavor scent. That's fist.
One
It's
of
like
my
an
favorites.
oaky. That's a good one. And then synthetic motor oil. I mean, that shit.
That's
makes,
a man's man.
It makes
scent.
you smell like you've been
been working.
in the shop. You know.
Which one's your favorite? When you're
I'm a
working
big
in the
fan
office?
of Fist.
You like Fest?
Yeah.
I honestly like, just for the sake, I really like the motor oil. I know it sounds weird, but I really, something about that scent just
Well,
feels
when
good.
I look at you, I imagine, might be a grease monkey.
like you, yeah.
And if you walk by me and you smell like grease, I would feel, like validated. Yeah, he's a grease monkey. If you walked by me and you kind of smelled like shit, I'd think, oh, it's from fucking bum.
Yeah, he smells like shit, and it's gross, and that, it's a definite confident. You feel more confident.
Right.
You feel better about going out there, and even if, like I said, even if it's a hot day and you got swamp ass, I mean, they're absorbent. So like if you're sweating a bit, it'll take up some of that, and you're also not ruining. I mean, how embarrassing is it when you go do your laundry, and sometimes you end up
Right.
seeing
Bacon strips,
Smears
something that
and
was not supposed to
remnant.
be there.
discoloration.
Yeah. More often than I'd like to admit.
They're discreet. You don't have to lug around toilet paper with you anymore. They're available wherever male hygiene products are sold. I mean, you can head down to the store right there in
Walmart.
town. Walmart, any kind of grocery store, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it, ask someone. But yeah, I mean, like, I personally, and Burger can attest to this, I wish I had a Mads Man pad when we were on our road trip. There was actually
I wish you would have had the pads too.
There was this, like you were saying with your office job, a lot of ripping it, a lot of like farting and whatnot. That a road trip, that's what that is. These guys, these are made for the road trip. Okay,
Definitely.
These are made when you're sitting in a car for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, and you're farting and you're eating road trip foods or whatever, and even you're gonna get a whiff of your ass at some point, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I stink! I'm an animal."
Yeah. Or your friends get a whiff of your ass, and then it's embarrassing.
Or you're gonna be driving in traffic in Utah and feel like the fart might have been way wetter than you expected to be, and you need to pull over to do a quick wipe up just to make sure that you didn't actually shit your pants.
But not anymore.
Because that actually is illegal in the state of Utah.
But not anymore.
You can stop breaking laws in Utah.
Yeah.
And this is targeted towards active people, people working on the job, people hiking, people doing endurance challenges. But like we said, we're around here, a couple slobs at least, and sitting around all day, it makes a big difference too.
And they come in 3 different sizes. And so maybe it's not as bad. Maybe you don't have swamp ass, right? So you just have, but it's kind of a day where you're like, I just feel a little gamey down there. You have your thin line Madman pad. Then you have your regular fit, and then you have like kind of your swamp
heavy day.
Yeah, which is called Everglades.
Oh,
which I thought was creative because the Everglades is like a swamp,
Right.
So like
It's beautiful.
the Everglades size of
and it's
Mads.
large.
Yeah, it's a more
Everglades
absorbent.
are a huge area.
It's a more absorbent.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So try out Mads Man Pads, and
please go out, buy some, support our show.
Yeah, support show. When you go on the Mads Man Pads website, if you use the code Fruit, you get a 10% discount on Mads. So use Fruit for a 10% discount.
Yes, and this is on madspads.com. And by the way, we don't advertise anything that we don't use ourselves.
Yeah,
that's kind of a point of contention and something that we really stand behind.
We believe in this product. This product has saved this show. It saved my pants.
And we really could use the sponsorship because we've lost our corporate sponsorship, as you may know. So please go out and buy some pads.
But we believe this. So yeah, buy pads and use the code
Mads Man
Pads. When you go to the store, if you some stores might be honoring the digital coupon. Some stores are like that. So maybe you could print one off. I'm not sure how that works.
Good luck.
You might have
But
to
going on the
work it out.
website and using our
But if you go on the website, use our promo code Brute Fruit, you get the 10%. Now, you might be able to go on the website and do a redeemable, like printable coupon that then you could take to your local IGA, grocery store, Safeway, Albertsons, Target, and you present the coupon. They should be able to honor it.
Yes.
So.
Mads Man Pads. Pads for men.
Burger, you get that?
All right. Here's
Thank
the Rugrats fan theory.
Uh-huh.
This widely circulated fan theory posits that the babies are actually Angelica Pickle's imaginary friends. Variations of this post. It was some kind of post on Tumblr.
Angelica's the redhead who's mean.
She's like blonde.
The little blonde girl, yeah.
Oh, she's blonde.
Yeah, the older.
The redhead thing was just something in your subconscious.
No, because Chucky's a redhead.
Right.
The little, I guess one of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Variations of this post suggest that Susie Carmichael and Dill Pickles are the only two real kids in Angelica's life. Susie goes along with Angelica's hallucinations. Oh, Rhea Perlman? Oh, no, that's somebody else. While Dill is too young to speak, explain why he's the only infant who can't talk in the series.
Oh.
Fortunately, it's not true.
Oh.
One of the creators of Rugrats, Arlene Klansky, debunked this myth at San Diego Comic-Con, telling BuzzFeed, quote, "A lot of people believe that conspiracy theory, and no, it's not true," unquote.
That's just
my dream crusher. So there you go.
Yeah.
Come on, I wanted to believe they were insane.
Well, I'm sorry.
Come on.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's
sorry, but
welcome to the land of broken
dreams. You need to
dreams.
grow up and stop watching these cartoons. Good day.
You're 30 years old.
Quit being a dinosaur.
Why are all you
You're
adults
27 years old. Quit
here
running
at this
around.
convention?
17.
You're 17. You're 17 years old. Quit playing around in the backyard like a dinosaur. There was a kid in my first grade class, I remember, because it was Jurassic Park came out in 93. I was in first grade, like, beginning of 94, 95, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jurassic Park was still enormous. And there was this kid, I remember, I won't say his name, because I don't remember if it was his real name or not, but he would walk around the playground with his arms like a dinosaur, and he'd do the whole running thing like he was like on Jurassic Park.
How
and he
old?
would just be like first grade.
Okay.
I remember thinking, I remember thinking that kid. I remember there was one point where he was doing it, and I could see him on the playground. Just thinking, man, that kid's cool. He could do the dinosaur thing because he was so good at it. It was like, oh man, that's talent. You think as a kid that means something. He wanted to be a dinosaur, you know.
He was really good at it.
He was really good at it. But
I can see how you wouldn't want to give that up. Like once you got good, like
yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
I know it's second grade now, but shit.
I'm on Step Brothers.
I'm good at this. Fuck.
When I believe
His
Jenkins
dad?
is his name. Richard Jenkins.
Yeah,
is that
Richard
his real
Jenkins,
name?
yeah.
When Richard Jenkins is telling them, he's like, I would walk around and be a dinosaur, and they talk about his dad yelling at him and crushing his dreams. So he went to school to be a doctor. Like, Dad, that makes no sense. It's like that's him. That's that kid. That's like multiverse. Oh man,
my brother used to
play a dinosaur.
Yeah,
he kind of looks like the kid that did that. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't.
The simulation is running out of RAM. Do you ever notice a little coincidence
I
like
think
that?
it's just like we all watched Jurassic Park. Some people had too much fun with it, you know?
Well, no, that's fair. I was just saying, and almost on a pivot, like, have you noticed a lot of those weird coincidences where, like, you could be listening to a podcast and they'll say something like celebrate, and you can walk out the living room and on TV it says celebrate Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? It's like this weird, like, these weird syncs and like weird, like not glitches, but
I think those are just ideas, bro.
Or just watching the news or watching a movie, and it's like, okay, this is I've seen this before.
or names,
I've heard the
or
story.
certain.
Yeah,
It's all deja vu.
That's
It's like
all the world is.
this
It's
has
just
been
how
the-
people.
Well, no, it's
are.
like
That's how people
Well,
are.
it's well, yeah. I'm not saying this is how it really. I'm not actually saying this is why I believe. It's a little coincidence. It's like when.
Well, I gotta
when-
argue with that. I don't know.
Oh, that's fine. It wasn't really an argument topic, but we can argue it. It's fine. We'll try it. When we were driving over to the Grand Canyon, the route we took was further south than north. Like
Okay.
if we were going over like Stevens Pass, we weren't taking that. We were down by like Mount Rainier, but it looked just like Stevens Pass, except it was like different shade. Like the topography was a little bit different shade of. It wasn't as bright green. It was more like a yellowish,
Right.
like gray, but there was like a river that was running right alongside the road in the exact same like pattern where it was just weird because at first Burger and I were like, oh man, this looks like we're going over Stevens Pass.
It looks
And
like we're about to enter Leavenworth.
Yeah, and like we're driving.
This is Southern Stevens Pass.
No,
basically.
but it wasn't. We were hours away from Stevens Pass,
Right.
But it was just this funny instance of like, whoa, you could have. I could have fallen asleep and like woke up and you could have said, hey, we're about to get to Leavenworth, and I would have been like, okay, and it would have taken me a few minutes to be like, wait a second, you're lying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was very similar, but we kept seeing stuff like that as we were driving. So like we would be like driving along and it'd be like, wait a second, didn't we already kind of just drive past like this giant landmass that we just went by? It was just interesting. Like if you're on like an old video game where like they repeat stuff over because there's not enough RAM to keep the game. So we're just saying our simulation is running out of data.
Yeah.
They used the
understand
basic data
yeah.
for Stevens Pass, and then transferred
Yeah,
it
like
to
a
this other
Mario
path that we
game,
were on.
yeah.
Yeah. They just rendered certain rocks a
Mountains
different color.
will slope at this rate.
Right.
And there will be this type of rock shape.
It was as if we were just driving along on like a treadmill and it was just like changing around us, like a Matrix kind of thing, you know, where it was like.
Now you're in the yellow part. Now you're in the green part. But it's the same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just kind of like changing around you. So then if there's a glitch or something because it's too hot in the real world that we're not unplugged from. Did you guys see that there is now a tracker app that we're supposed to download?
I did see that.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. 'Cause
People, I was expecting you to be all over that.
it's
and-
supposedly
on your phones?
It's supposedly anonymous.
It's
but
been
we're
there
all,
forever.
No.
There's a new
There's
app
a new Washington
for coronavirus
Yeah.
specifically.
in Washington
And
State.
if you find out you're infected, you're supposed to go on the app and say, I'm infected. And then they'll alert everyone that you were near for the past whatever time that were all
So
over the
it's
app.
so basically they want there's an app that they want you to download. And it's like it's completely anonymous.
Uh-huh.
Is what
Oh,
the
yeah.
commercial was saying. But then at the same time, it's supposed to know like if the three of us are standing in line at Leon's and one of us tests positive, we're supposed to go in there and say we test positive, and then you'll get an alert because
Someone
they'll
near you has been tested positive.
Oh.
someone you've been near, just a random stranger.
So they're going to track you at all times.
it's just a tracking device.
Even though it's anonymous.
It's already, and then they already
That's what they say, yeah.
they already are tracking you, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Well,
they're
now
tracking
they
you
give
very
information
now it's
to
just
the
specifically.
government.
it's very blatant now. You know
Well,
what I mean? It's
before
like
it was just the big companies privately tracking you. Now the
Right.
government has said, "Hey, we want our cut." And
right.
they
We
said,
can circumvent
"Okay."
right into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Apple and Google got in on this, by the way.
Yeah.
They teamed together to say, "Yeah, you can track any citizen."
Yeah. Of course.
There you go,
Yeah.
government.
Here you go.
This is what they've been talking about for 20 years, and then everyone's like, "Oh, they're not going to do
Right.
that. They don't have any."
Well, because it's the slow burn. It's the
Right.
slow burn. Because
it's
they
the,
don't
No,
it's the
they
frog
have-
in the,
they have a
it's the
reason
frog
now.
in the boiling water.
They have a reason now. and
just
it's-
just like the Patriot Act. They had it ready and waiting for something, and then they slip it in, and then you give it to them. They're not going back.
Right. They never go back. Once the government gets power, they never relinquish that power.
It's
You just-
weird.
it's a snowball
Weird.
effect. You
It's
just
like,
you
I
constantly
thought
add
I
on.
could trust you guys. And then you didn't.
But everyone keeps doing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like everyone keeps like they forget about it or they get distracted by something, and it's so maddening because like you don't have to be on the same page like when it comes down to the nitty gritty stuff, but like
no, because
the
if
big
it's
stuff.
their team that's doing it in the moment, they're gonna argue with you, even if like if you didn't tell them whose team had been doing it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's fucked
Well,
up."
but it's all how it's spun too, because if we like if we don't want to have this tracking device on us, we're going to be looked at, oh, you're some crazy right-wingers, right?
Or you don't
right,
care.
because that's
Or you
not
don't
the
care.
team who's pushing for it.
Exactly.
And because now it's a matter of health and safety. If you don't opt in, you're a bad person.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
It's an act.
It's gonna be what happens when they make us get the chip and the vaccine and the chip to prove that we had the vaccine.
And
or the
maybe we're
passports
just being
and shit.
paranoid, and maybe all that is just what they say it is.
And that's how they
Right.
sort of
Right. That's the thing.
T-bone.
That's the problem with it. That's
It's
the problem
so hard
with this.
for me.
It's the problem with
I don't know.
the slow burn that they're doing it. It's like you can't. There's a point you get to where you go, okay, I'm drawing a line, because it's like you're like, okay, well,
are you
like
being paranoid or are you being taken advantage of?
Right. That's exactly the point where we're at right now. At least me personally, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how much I want.
We should always be thinking that way, probably based on.
Well, right, but I feel like everyone should always question shit. Everyone should always question, but I feel like the belief,
especially when there's a history of dishonesty.
But there's a problem with that, because then you get looked at like you're some quack because of other shit that they've done.
Like the way I look at this guy.
Like a big
I
divide
don't
and
trust what he
conquer.
says. He's a quack.
Why not? I'm just basing it off of things that have happened in history. But the thing is the attitude is always, well, our government did some shady shit, back then, but they're not going to do it now.
Well, that's why, like, I always try to use the example of once, like, the 80s hit, and they could go back and start showing people the propaganda that they used against in Americans in like the 50s, like the duck and cover and all that stuff, and laugh and like they made it like, hey, look, this is what they were doing. This is propaganda. Mm-hmm. So then people in the 80s were going, well, that's what they thought in their mind. That's what propaganda was. But in reality, they were already infiltrated.
They were experiencing the propaganda.
So that's the thing. It's like styles or whatever, technology. It's like the technology that we have right now that we're using in this room right now is probably 20 years old in reality with what was actually being developed back in the day, right? Like, so you got to imagine exponentially they're getting more and more advanced. There's more and more shit advanced. I saw a car where they had the headlights fly out in front of your car and light the road. It's like fucking drone headlights.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, I saw a video of that on a show, on a podcast. It showed it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like so, and
I mean, it's kind of like.
It's crazy.
The point?
I don't get the point. Because imagine if you had a bunch of cars. Imagine if that was the technology for the future and every car had that. You'd have all these drones, and you were in traffic. All these drones would just be like right on top of each other, sitting there, not doing anything. Or maybe you just wouldn't have them in, and the roads will be lit up. Who knows? But yeah, like, so there's technology out there. And so to imagine that, like, the manipulation process that is being used by the government is not a step ahead is ignorant.
Yeah, it's always been a step ahead. I was having this argument with somebody.
And for the record, anyone listening to this and who doesn't necessarily know us, I think all three of us each have different political views. Like, it's not like we're a group of like the same.
Yeah,
like political,
it's not an echo chamber,
right? Yeah, like I mean, Burger's an extremity,
and we watch different media too.
Yeah, and I think me and Tim aren't necessarily. We lean a lot further away from Burger, but I think we land on different spectrums, and I think we all respect that. But
right.
But that's what's crazy nowadays is that you almost can't even.
Yeah, all the nuance is gone.
Yeah.
So if you're like. You could be somebody who's totally completely left.
God forbid that human beings are complex.
Like
I know,
if you say certain things, you'd just be ostracized from the group by someone who thinks that simply.
Exactly,
which is most people.
If you could be somebody who's on the far left, blah, 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 but then you say you're a Catholic or something, and then it's like, okay, so now you're
right.
They push
you
right
might not
right
be okay
side.
with abortion, so we're not okay with you,
right?
And we're not going to talk to you.
Or the same thing with the right. Like you could be considered, right on a lot of subjects, and
but then
say, but
be like a pothead or something,
anti-abortion, or
be a pothead,
pro-abortion on that side, or be a pothead. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the House just voted to legalize,
decriminalize,
not legalize.
I saw
decriminalize
things about
pot.
That. I saw memes,
and there
so
was
I wasn't sure.
And there was 5 Dems who voted against it, 5 Republicans who voted for it, which I was kind of surprised. I thought it would kind of be more center than that after all this time.
I know. Well,
but I'm being naive.
like we know, they're all very old. And
Yeah, the average age of a sitting senator, I think, is like 103.
yeah.
But I was having this argument with somebody on Facebook the other day, he was getting irritated that people don't follow the arrows in the grocery store on the floor, and they don't go the right way down the aisles.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's like, and I was talking about, I was like, well, why? God forbid, we can't be all sheep. And he's like, well, it's a matter of respect. You use your turn indicators and. You walk the right way down.
Some people
But
but
the difference is
you drive the correct way down the road.
It's not like the road laws were all of a sudden new. Like,
and we needed the road laws.
Yeah, we needed the road laws. You didn't ever need the aisle rules before coronavirus. You did not need that at all.
Right.
There was never an issue with turning down an aisle 8 instead of aisle 7 and grabbing something there. But
that's just being a little too anal, really.
Yeah,
it's being very anal,
but
it's very grumpy.
It's right, but
I
it's
mean,
like
to get upset at least. I mean, like to follow rules. Okay, you like follow rules,
but to get upset about it, it's like.
My whole point was
getting upset about it is you're only getting
what difference
upset.
Does it make?
Right, like you're getting upset that you are following along.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and my whole point was like, well, you can try to social distance and you can do whatever, but just simply passing the wrong direction down a grocery store aisle is so infinitesimal.
You know what?
And how many times have I seen this guy have? He has a few drinks at the bar and then drives home. It's like, well, you could be. I'm not saying he drives drunk, but at the same time, you could make the argument that that one beer. That can inhibit your ability to drive.
And that one passing of a person, that could be what gets you sick. But
right.
Like, what doesn't make sense is if you pass someone, and assuming you're both walking at the same speed, you have much less exposure time than if you're walking at the same speed behind someone. 6 feet away or 20 feet away. You're going to have more of a chance. Yeah, you're having more chance of reaching their wake.
Like it's like being in a boat and being behind on an inner tube and being like, why can't I get around this boat? Because you're being towed by the inner wake. Yeah, you're in its wake. Like I'm with you there. Like,
yeah, it just doesn't make logical sense to me. I haven't done a study. But
a lot of it is just so.
But if you're just basing it,
arbitrary. It's arbitrary.
And if you're basing it off of what you're being told what to do and what not to do, it's like walk in the direction of the arrows in the aisles. So like Tim's saying, if I'm walking behind someone, it's far worse than if I'm passing them.
Yeah,
because if I'm walking behind them,
it's
if they fart, I'm in their fart.
Right.
And
they're crop dusting,
right? And so from everything we've been told, we're not like. Isn't that worse? Like, isn't that worse for you? Really?
Seems like it.
It seems like it would be. I don't understand. They like to say when science like follows common sense. Yeah, it follows common sense. And then when a study finds some counter the common sense, they're like, well, you shouldn't have thought about it like that. But I think common sense here is going to prevail.
Yeah,
I hope.
But then it's also like trust the science. It's like, well, the science really doesn't make a lot of sense.
And that's the thing.
6 feet, but we're outside though. Well, 6 feet. Yeah, but the wind and the
And that's the thing.
Yeah, and 6 feet in a tent.
Yeah,
we're in a fucking tent. That's allowed now. To eat outside of a restaurant in a tent.
Right, you're allowed to be stuck in a
dungeon.
Tent.
With no vents or anything.
And it really feels like it's just this. Let's see what they'll do.
Let's see how far we can go with it.
It's like a weird hazing, like you're like at a fraternity where it's like, all right, you have to walk around with your pants down and chug a beer.
Yeah,
to me it seems more like people pushing the limits and trying to see what they can get away with, and the government being like, okay.
Well, the government
and
is
sometimes
the one that's
being like,
no.
Well, that's what
the government didn't. I don't think the government decided. By the way, plastic tents. I think people were like, "What about plastic tents?" And then
they're trying to. Oh yeah, because they're trying to get around.
I see what you're saying. But I think with the restrictions, it's kind of see what we can get away with.
Yeah, because
it's
political. It's not logical.
Let's force them to close down their dining. Let's see what these guys. Oh, well, you can still have dining, but it has to be outside. Well, we live in Washington and it's 30 degrees out. Well, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you remember when, like, even grocery stores were limited? They might be now, but I just remember it being weird that liquor stores and weed shops were open here in Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, during the lockdown?
And, like,
they were essential.
people in there, yeah, they were essential, while other places weren't.
Well, Best Cafe is
but it was,
done for.
That was a example of what can we get away with. You can't get away with shutting down liquor
Well, yeah,
stores.
it's just like-
Yeah, you
and
can't.
shops.
There's no way you could do that because there'd be enough of the people would be fucking pissed. They'd unite on something.
Yeah.
If you keep everyone fragmented, then you're going to be able to control over them more.
It's like now, all these small businesses
Think about it like if you were a parent, right? Hold on. Sorry to cut you off, but think about, I thought of a good analogy. If you're a parent, there's two of you, okay? You and your spouse. Let's say you have like 5 kids. You got to keep those kids at each other's throats in order to keep order in the house. Because if there's an uprising, you won't be able to control them. Sure. Think about
kind
it.
of a
I've never raised children.
accurate and
sick
way to put it.
Other than my own, mostly my wife did it, but
Well, yours are pretty young, 3 and 5, and you only have 2. So it's like a, you know what I mean? There's one for each of you. But once you get outnumbered, you have to do some sort of tactic so you don't get overtaken.
yeah.
Because imagine, because
I'll
think
figure
about it,
that
like
out.
if you can't discipline them well enough, then you just kind of brats. They won't shut up unless you give them something. You have to pit them against each other.
Yeah,
Or
I
be
usually
very
you should throw something competitive in front of them, like a game.
Right. And like you allow them to like to start to create their own little weird personal feuds. Like if you have 2 boys and maybe 3 girls, or 2 boys and then a girl and then a boy and a girl. I'm just saying like a large family, but with the ages close together of boys, you could really make them competitive about stuff if they're close to the same age. Like Nick, our friend Nick and his brother, they were very competitive. And then Nick's brother was like 2 years older than him. They were very competitive about stuff, but it's always funny to hear about it because I never had brothers, so I was never competitive like at home. I was always just kind of by myself because I had my sisters. So I would always be very competitive at like games and like sports and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Were you competitive with your sisters at all?
No, because it was never fair.
Yeah, unless it was a board game.
Are you talking about, are they any older than you?
No, they're younger than me.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, if a daughter is older and the son's younger, then it can be competitive, really.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, definitely. There was a point that, there was a video game, not a video game, like a board game. Speaking of board games, there was a game called Seen It. And it was a DVD movie trivia game.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And we had that, and no one could ever beat me. So it got to a point where my sister is like 6 years younger than me. So I was like, 15 and she's 9. So she's like really competitive, like trying to beat me at something. Right. And she would stack the teams where it'd be like me versus like her, my other sister, my mom, like my aunt, whoever was there at the, playing. And I just remember we did it one time, and it was my 17th birthday party. And there was this girl that I was kind of like seeing at the time, but she wasn't my girlfriend yet. So I remember telling my family, cause like they wanted me to invite her over, and she came, and like hung out. And, I told my family I was really nervous before, obviously she was older. This girl was like already 18. And
how old were you?
I was just about to turn 17. It wasn't my 17th birthday. It was like a few days before my birthday, but I was about to turn 17. And she came over, and I remember telling everyone before she got there, like, she's not my girlfriend. Like, I didn't want her to think, I didn't want someone to be like, oh, so you're Kirk's girlfriend. Like, because I didn't want her to think I was telling them that she was my girlfriend. Because like,
but of course your family rags on you.
Well, what happened was everything was going great, and then my sister Justine wanted to play Seen It. And so she pulls out Seen It and she puts it in there, and so she teams me and the girl up, and then everyone else at the party. And we were playing, and I was just like winning, and I was like beating her really bad, and she was getting mad about it. And she's just like, you're such a jerk or an ass or whatever, showing off in front of your girlfriend. And I just remember at the time, just, I'm 16, almost 17. I'm just like, God damn it. I was like, no. Oh, I was like, oh crap, this chick thinks I'm telling people she's my girlfriend, and she's not my girlfriend. She wasn't. Yeah. Anyways, that was a very interesting. When I think of competitiveness in my family, that's like one of the only times I remember there being some sort of competitive rift. When we were kids and had to do did Easter egg hunts, they had to handicap them. So like my sister would go out, my youngest sister would go out first, then Natalie, and then they let me go because they had like money in them. So by the time I was like 8 or 9, my sister, I was already like almost 5 feet tall, and like I was just big, and so it was just I moved quicker than them, and I was able to grab eggs, so I would just dominate these Easter egg hunts. And so they had to like handicap them so they'd get a chance.
A bully.
It wasn't a bully about it. I just was like,
I'm just good. I'm not gonna be slow on my own accord.
Yeah, I didn't think of it. I didn't think of anything like that because I was just doing what I would do. That's just what I would do.
You wanted to get the money.
Well, and it wasn't like I was going, oh, I'm stopping my sisters. I'm just thinking like they got to get theirs. I'm trying to get mine. Like I wasn't like I was like taking it from them at all. It was never like that.
Slapping the bag out of their hand.
No, it was never like that at all.
Choking them a little.
Just kind of shoulder checking them.
Well, no, because I'm enormous, and my sisters are tiny. Like they're small. Like Justine is like normal sized lady, and Natalie is like really small. You know what I mean? But when they were kids, they were both really small.
Right.
So
I was never small. I was a husky,
lady.
chubby.
Well, no, Justine's normal. She's a normal sized lady, but Natalie is like Natalie's a very petite, like dainty, like very dainty person. Like tall and very, very, very thin.
Very thin.
Like 70 pounds.
And how tall?
She's not really 70 pounds, but like she's very skinny.
80 pounds. Soaking
4
wet with a
foot
brick
10
in each
and
pocket.
80 pounds.
No, she's like 5'7", 5'8".
Huh?
Might even be taller than that, actually.
That's pretty tall for a woman.
I think she's like 5'8".
She's decent tall for a girl.
Because Justine's like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". Like they're both about the same height.
What's going on outside?
There's a commotion. There is a commotion.
Probably a gang fight. There's a lot of drug addicts around here. There's a
lot
guy
of
that
gang
lives down the
fights
street
down by the
named
river.
Drunk Dave.
A lot of people living down by the river.
Yeah, a lot of people down
by the river.
Drunk Dave.
Down by the river.
Dun, dun, dun.
We were watching Lost. Berger and I were watching Lost, and for whatever reason, I would do this Neil Young where I would start just having him ramble about because in the first season, it was like Neil Young composing the soundtrack for the first season of Lost, and it was always Kate every time she'd get like naked in the water, and it would just be Neil singing about Kate. So I'm like, my boner's hard for you, Kate. My boner.
Kate. Yeah, they never
Would
showed.
you like to see? And be like, cut, Neil, quit singing about your boner.
Yeah, they never showed.
That's all I know.
They never showed any of like the senior citizen characters bathing with their shirts off.
Yeah, it was always Kate. Kate is always bathing.
Always washing her hair in the
Always
waterfall.
washing.
Oh, Kate.
Well, it became a point to where I think she made
down
it.
by the river.
Oh, Kate, bathe yourself down by the river. Oh, scrub-a-dub-dub. Actually, there you go. Ooh, Kate.
Scrub-a-dub-a-dub.
Scrub-a-dub-dub.
Is this Neil Young on Sesame Street?
Yeah, there you go.
Boy.
Trying to teach how to bathe.
Kate.
Scrub. Keep scrubbing.
Neil Young should not be teaching children how to wash themselves. There you go. Here's a loofah.
That's a new scar on your ding dong.
Oh God. Oh, we're sorry, Neil Young. I love you.
Great music.
I've seen Neil twice.
Wow.
Well, I saw him once as Neil Young, And then I saw him once as Buffalo Springfield. But they played Rocket in the Free World. So
that counts as Neil Young.
Yeah.
So
they also played Mr. Soul. But that is Buffalo Springfield.
Okay.
And they played For What It's Worth.
For What It's Worth.
There's something happening here. It feels ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Oh yeah. Paranoia strikes deep. Actually, I don't know the rest of the words. I'm gonna stop.
I was making up all the parts I sang.
That sounded good to me.
I didn't know any of that.
People
But I like the song.
People will probably be upset that we stopped.
Yeah.
There should be like a cut to a commercial after that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where you tease.
Hey, what's the sound? Everybody stop. What's going on?
All right. So Burger's got opinions because we were talking about this art piece that's been happening with the monoliths and everything. And you said you had your own theory about what's going on. So what is it?
Well, I think it's all a psyop. Either one of two things. Either it's a CIA psyop or it's a real alien communication
But there's already a group that's come out and said that.
Well, yeah, they said it. But, we don't know.
That guy's puny little legs.
Well, yeah, they're.
This guy's got chicken legs.
Well, yeah, they're small fighters. I think he's like 6'6".
He's so tall, but he's got little.
Yeah,
He's got a big dong.
He's 6'6", but he's fighting at like 160. I think is what the fight.
It's only big by
class.
comparison to his small hips. Look at those legs.
Because his opponent is 6 feet tall.
I know. This is weird.
I like those big lips.
For those of you,
we're talking about the white guy.
We're going to talk about. There's fights. There's boxing on in the background right now. We're sorry. We are not divulging what we are watching for purposes.
But
for you,
I don't know if you want to keep talking about the wrestling, but I was going to chime in about the art.
Oh, please.
What are they called?
The monolith.
The monolith.
Yes.
See, you guys keep sending me stuff about these articles, but
I was just sending it to the Brute and the Fruit chat just for Burger to
our official email chain with memos, but for business purposes. Anyway, these I've not seen these on any normal news that I've watched. Only on what you guys have shown me.
Yeah, they're not coming up like as top news for anything.
Because it's still, like an art project or something.
Yeah, they're not taking.
Well, when I just see the headline from your shit, I'm like, wow, shouldn't we all be talking about how the aliens are communicating with us? Like,
but that's the thing. Like,
a space odyssey.
If you read and if you read the thing, it's like they're just kind of it's all tongue in cheek that they're treating it, but no one was taking claim to it, and then it disappeared, and then it showed up in Romania. And then
it disappeared.
And then it showed up in California. It disappeared. And then people started saying that it was taken down by some kooks who then put like a cross up. And then some people were getting threats for pictures they were taking with it for whatever reason. So a lot of people were just reacting very differently towards it. But I think today some group came out and artist group came out and took credit for it, but there was a specific. They put it in the spot in Utah for a specific reason because like right above it, like the sun rises or whatever. There was a picture that some famous photographer took a picture that was really cool looking. Actually, you should look it up, Faxman. Just type in Utah monolith picture. Hopefully that'll come.
Yeah, it
up.
looks like he's lifting up.
Yeah, like he's lifted up the sun. Yeah. And that was a really cool picture, but he got death threats for that picture. For whatever reason. What for? I'm not sure.
It's amazing. That's why I think this whole thing is so
there it is right there, yeah.
It looks like a beam of light is shooting out of this monolith with a guy standing on top of it.
Yeah. But one of those showed up in Romania. One of them also showed up in California. They're not magnetic. So like a guy went up to it and put a magnet up to it and the magnet just falls. So they didn't know what it was.
Stainless or aluminum.
Steel.
Something.
Stainless isn't strong enough for magnets usually. Like magnetically, yeah.
But yeah, so no one really had a big theory.
Could be polished aluminum.
It could be some kind of alien metal that nobody knows about.
I mean,
No,
aluminum is not magnetic, so it's pretty easy to.
It took like I don't know how many people. It took like 6 people to take it down. Apparently,
It's heavy.
but imagine how they got it.
Why'd
there.
they take it down?
It was some reaction. Like they took. I really didn't read why they took it down. It all
I
just seemed
did.
like mumbo jumbo. Why'd they take it down?
Well, there was 2 different ones. There was, and that's why I was saying the whole thing is phony, and it all seems like another reason to divide people, because there was 2 very divisive stories.
Okay.
One of them was the one in Utah got taken down by these environmentalist adventurers who said that people were
they were leaving trash everywhere.
They were leaving trash and
yeah.
taking shits in the desert, and so they were saying it was bad for the environment, so they tore it down because it was for the good of planet Earth.
Local climbers take credit for dismantling curious Utah monolith.
Yeah,
right. That was the Utah one.
Yep.
And then there was the California one, where these 4 guys who were right-wing, white supremacist extremists went and tore it down and said, "We're tearing this down because we don't want immigrants here from Mexico or outer space." And then
that sounds stupid. That sounds like people who aren't no real people.
Right, exactly. Both those stories sounded so
but
funny to me.
Also, like, who would be insane enough to take it down? Normal people would be like, "Cool, whatever." But who's fucking retarded enough?
Yeah, who's crazy enough to go find it?
Big words.
Can't use that word.
Tim's dropping big words. We'll censor that.
Sorry.
So there was the one that
can we like paste a big words over that? Like, can someone be that big words?
Who's that big words?
So there was one story that seemed like people on the left would side with it. It was an environmental issue.
Yeah.
And then there was like the right one where it's like these crazy white supremacists.
But that just seems so extreme.
You didn't,
so stupid.
and I didn't even tell you the most ridiculous part of it. They supposedly, and I tried to look for the whole video and couldn't find it. I found like a 1-minute video, but according to one of the articles, and I copied the article down. I can read from it if you want. But they were saying that they knocked it down, and one of the guys said that the expression of art was gay, and it's America first and Christ is king. And so
what is this, Mr. Garrison?
Yeah, it was like a parody.
Oh, that's pretty gay. Christ.
As we said, this, Christ is king, America first, as they destroyed this monolith and replaced it with a cross. It was so phony.
Yeah.
It was like the MAGA bomber.
So now what? Hold on. So what about this? Hold on.
Okay.
We'll go one more. The 6'6" guy just knocked out.
I was gonna say this is not fair, and the 6'6" guy's being a douche.
The 6'6". So
but
they
if
showed
you look at his arms are bigger than his legs. It's
their weight
crazy.
class is 154 pounds. So this guy's 6'6", 154 pounds.
He's
perfect.
A skelly.
Okay.
Skelly Tom.
So, what if this Christian group actually put it up there themselves and then tore it down themselves as like a publicity stunt for themselves?
Well, they might have. There was another theory that it was a leftover prop from Westworld because they filmed one in like the Utah area or something. So there's been several different theories.
What about the Romanian one though?
So then there's the theory that there's
a copycat.
Either there's a copycat
or
theory.
They're like in tandem.
Yeah, they're in tandem.
Oh.
Like they're communicating. They're part of some larger group that's communicating online or whatever.
Right.
Or they're a copycat, or it's aliens from another planet.
Man, this
I would really believe
He's dummying him, dude. That's just dummying him.
When
He's
I first saw
but like the last fight, the guy getting dummied didn't get any hits in on the end.
Well, that's what he stopped. Yeah, this was just the replay.
Oh.
So when I first started seeing these monolith stories,
yeah,
I was really hoping they were massive monoliths, like 50, 60 feet tall or something. They're like 10 feet tall.
Right.
And they're embedded 2 feet in the ground, except for the one that got toppled in Utah. But
it looked pretty small.
They're small. They're 18 inches wide.
There was that was the thing. It was like when I first saw the article, I was like, please show me a picture with some perspective. Show me a person standing next to it. Show me something. Then finally, I saw one. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
It's big, but it's not that big. Like,
yeah, they're about 12 feet tall, but they always take a picture from the base, looking up at the sky,
well, yeah,
so it looks like it's
come on, dude.
towering
You're a dick pic guy. Like, that's your world. Like, that's all upshots for you, right? Yeah.
Yep. I fall victim to that a lot.
It's a good thing we got smartphones because they're so thin. You can get real close to the base.
Yep.
For your upshotage.
Right.
I was just thinking the professional camera would not be good.
Unless you had someone taking the photo for you. And then you can just kind of like sit there and just spread, and they can get the zoom right and just like the angle exactly right underneath you.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a fake profile. When you can tell that there's a second person.
Yeah,
that's
like
taking
you
the
just
picture.
essentially like a professional shoot. Like they would have these poor women spread eagle and the hustlers.
I've been
saying
seeing that on these dating sites, professional pictures.
Yeah,
and it's just an instant like, what the hell's
yeah.
going
Chances
on
are they're like in a warehouse somewhere, and they're all just like renting a bed space, like a fake bedroom that they're just using as like their chat room that they diddle themselves in, and like a massage parlor. Think of it like someone like a masseuse who has a room that they use at a massage place, right? I think there's people, especially in California, women who are on like these porn chat room sites and stuff. I saw it in on the show Workaholics, and so I'm guessing that there's got to be some sort of like basis in reality to this joke that they fell for some cam girl and they go chasing after her, and they show up to like this warehouse where it's just all these fake these rooms that are like sets. So these girls are in their room like diddling themselves like and everything on a chat room, but really it's not their fucking bedroom. It's just like a room they're renting that
has professional cameras and makeup artists.
Well, no, I'm thinking of like the cam girl, like when you're on like a live cam site or like when one of those pop up.
Like just to have the room though, like you could just have a room. Like why would you need to pay for it?
Well,
another room.
I think it was.
But I would expect it's because of the cameras that are there.
Well, yeah, it's like a job. It's like it's all like a setup. It's like a setup in the sense of they're essentially being an actress, and this is the room that they use as theirs to do their work, and then they get a cut from the website or whatever. Hold on, look, okay, here I got a topic for
Bring
Tim.
it in.
Here we go. Ready?
Come on.
Because there's a game that I want to play again.
Give it to me.
And it's the reverse Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game that we played that a few episodes ago, where it was like, hey, Tim, would you suck a dick for $1 million? And you went down with the price. Now, here's the reason why I want to play that game. There was another time, months ago, where just randomly, without any provoking or anything, just goes, provocation. Without any provocation, Burger goes, yeah, I'd sell my soul for $10,000. And I was just like, why aren't you saying something like this on a podcast? And then we started talking about it more, and he said he looked into it. We still have not gotten to this topic, and I feel like this is the topic that we need to be on because I feel like it's funny. So, Burger.
Yeah.
$10,000, really? And what kind of context of selling your soul? Like, are you actually selling your soul to the devil, or is this one of those selling your soul on the internet to somebody?
Selling your soul on the internet to somebody. I wouldn't want to sell it to Satan, but I could sell it for a certain amount of time. Essentially, like doing porn is selling your soul. Like
yeah, I guess.
Because think about it like this: like you can't take that back. Like that's forever.
Yeah, but doing any kind of acting is.
I would hate to compare what Toni Collette does to what Jenna Jameson does.
It's just different assets of film.
Okay.
Different ways.
I feel like one of these things is steeped in, art and like craft.
Well, you limit your audience with porn because children can't watch.
Yeah, but children can't watch. Children can't watch.
Children
rated
are
R
a big
movies.
part of the market, guys. You should really look into the facts of this because if you want to make money, you gotta be able to market children and adults.
Actually, think about that. I was thinking about that earlier this week about how I was talking to you guys about Terminator 2, and I was thinking about Terminator 2, and I thought, shit, that movie came out in 91. Like 91, I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing with like Terminator 2 action figures. I had an actual like Terminator 2 action figure.
Like if you're a good parent, you could watch you could let your 13-year-old watch Terminator 2. if you were delinquent, you could watch your kids watch that at like 5.
My parents were not delinquents.
I mean, I don't want to argue, but
No, because
look at the results.
Hold
That's
on.
all I'm saying.
No, oh, ouch! I feel like it was more that movie was that movie was a rated R for the violence, but like in a weird way, since it was robots, I always understood. Like I never had a hard time deciphering anything as a kid, like when it came to movies, except like horror movies. But I was not allowed to watch those like until I got older.
But if you look at Terminator 1, right, that's like a psycho movie.
Right, but I didn't
adults.
watch that. I didn't watch that until I got older.
Terminator 2 was
more like
marketed for family.
Yeah, because they had action figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And video games and everything. And there was a kid in the movie.
Yeah, the kid was the protagonist.
Right.
Sort of
so
hero of
the movie is almost through his eyes. So as a kid, you can really relate to that.
Yeah.
I can almost see how that is with like Aliens, which is the same director. You know what I mean? Like there's a little girl in that movie. So as a little kid, if you saw that when you were in the 80s, it's more of an action thriller than a horror movie.
Right.
Like I'm on the level of I'd probably let 8-year-old watch Terminator. Maybe not 7. That's like I'm not a good person, but I'm not like a dirt.
But honestly, I feel like it depends on. I also feel like it depends on the kid. Like if the kid has no interest in what's going on, then yeah. But like as I'm guessing, as when I was a kid, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big deal when we were, especially at that time, 91, 92, 93. Like he was a big deal.
I want to see the new Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And so it was like, and then you get Terminator 2 was everywhere.
What was he in before that you would have seen?
No, I'm just thinking of it like he was on everything. Like he was just everywhere. So like you
all
knew
of a
who
sudden,
he was.
Like as soon as the 90s came around, he was.
Well, he was already though.
He was in Total
From
Recall.
What? Total Recall.
Total Recall, I think.
Well,
was
no,
you wouldn't be watching that as a kid.
No. But what I'm saying is he was everywhere in the sense of just like the cultural zeitgeist. So when you were a kid,
did
you're
he
watching
do that movie where he's trying to get the toy for his kid for Christmas?
Kindergarten Cop. No, he did Kindergarten Cop though before Terminator 2.
But Jingle All the Way is what he's talking about.
That was the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was after. What I'm saying is with Terminator 2, that movie was everywhere and was marketed, and it was like it was an enormously big movie at the time. Like it made like $500 million, which at that time was huge. Facts, man. Look up the box office for Terminator 2 for me.
All right, sir.
But I feel like at the time that it came out, it was this enormous hit. So as a kid, you see Arnold Schwarzenegger places and the Terminator 2 video game that's being advertised on Nickelodeon and the Terminator 2 fucking
it's
toys.
520.8 million USD.
There you go. You said 500.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
and by
that's
the way,
like $91.
8.5 out of 10 on IMDb and 93% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep. It's Terminator 2, man.
That's a terrific movie.
It's a great movie. I saw it at the Cinerama
Ooh.
a couple years ago. That was awesome. So good.
I'd never watched the Terminator movies until a few years ago. And I watched number 1 and number 2 both in a row. And number 1, I was like, this movie's fucking really cool. Can't believe I never watched it. Number 2, I was like, holy shit, this movie's incredible.
I'm surprised you never watched it. Yeah.
Terminator 2 is incredible.
Like, then the best
Have you
part
seen
about
3? It's not as good.
The best part about Terminator 2 is that it works as a standalone movie. So like you don't even have to see the first one,
right,
for it to make perfect sense, and it tells you you don't have to see the third one at all, really, because the whole arc of the story wraps up at the end of it as well. So in this weird way, you can live in this world where Terminator 2 is just its own movie, and then it's like if you can almost watch it Terminator 2 and then go back and watch Terminator 1.
And it wouldn't matter.
As a kid, I watched Terminator 2, and I didn't see 1 until like after 18. And I didn't watch 3 was like meh. So I started with 2, and that was pretty much all I had for a while.
That's all
number
you
2 is superior.
It's got such like it's where movies should still be going, like with the use of practical effects and CGI. I know Nolan does that a lot,
and
stuff.
use of time and scene lengths.
Like just so good. It's so good. And
movies are too fast paced now, and you get no character development that's worthwhile.
And no build up. It's just everything has to be, there has to be a slow build up and a quick delivery. It's just like when they did the It movies.
This movie, that's the best part about this movie, is there's so much ebb and flow in this movie. because it's. I mean, when you think about it, it starts off and it's got like all the action of like the future, and then it goes back in the past, and you get Robert Patrick first, right? And then you get Arnold. You get the two Terminators show up.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. You get either way, and then you get John Connor. So they show you the two Terminators. They immediately establish you got the bad guy, you got Arnold, who's the good guy, and then you got some amazing music cues, like Bad to the Bone when he shows up with the guy's clothes on and shit.
Yeah.
Like right walks out. And then you got John Connor blasting little punk blasting fucking
he's got a dirt bike.
Yeah, he's blasting Guns N' Roses. He's got
a shitty step parent.
He's got Butnick from fucking Salute Your Shorts as his friend with the kid with the red head and the mullet.
I don't remember.
Yeah. And then the two of them fucking battle, the two Terminators battle. And then they have the amazing fucking chase scene in the canal and everything. Mm-hmm. And like, think about how many movies like where that's the highlight.
Yeah.
And like, there's so much shit that goes on after that. There's a fucking scene in the that's a watch along. When we do with the live show, that's got to be a watch along. That movie is perfect. I love that movie.
Terrific.
That's a certified fat. I decided movies that I consider are perfect. I'm just gonna call it a certified fat.
Certified fat.
Yeah, certified fat.
Yeah, I've got to watch it. I've got to watch it one more time before I can give it an official.
I was thinking about
rating.
albums.
Yeah,
and if you play an album like it would be you playing a concert, why don't you just call it a virtual concert or a virtual show?
An album? Well, you just call it a live album.
Don't call it an album. It's a virtual show.
A virtual show. Well, what's virtual about an audio show?
It's the experience of a show, yeah, but
without the visual.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. That's true.
I like where you're going though, Tim. You're thinking. That's good.
For once in your life.
All right, well, we keep talking about doing the show. I really want to do a live show one of these days and have it just kind of stream, and we'll do that weird shit where you bullshit. I find myself more and more just on weird people's like sites where they are YouTube pages where they just do the stupidest shit. It's like I'm embarrassed sometimes with like what I've watched people do on YouTube. Like,
yeah, especially when someone asks you like, "What are you watching?"
And it's like, nothing. Nah, never mind.
It's so stupid.
I'm watching a guy open baseball cards. But
well, he makes like this stuff out of like it's really simple, but I like it.
I watch people do Pokemon card openings.
Oh.
Yeah,
but at least actually, what I do is probably cooler than baseball because your guys are opening modern packs. My guys,
no, they'll open old packs.
Will they?
Yeah, there's certain packs where like if you open and you like there's a series where if you get a Mike Trout rookie card, it's gonna be worth a shitload of money. So if you can get yourself a pack of those of that series, that might have it in there, then yeah.
You know, people talk about that they regret not investing in Microsoft. Imagine
I'm gonna steal your thunder right now because I just feel like the Microsoft thing is such an exaggeration. But the throwing away my Pokemon cards as a kid or wherever they are, like whatever happened to them, is such a bummer because I've heard the prices of some of these cards and I just realized like, it's like, oh yeah, I had that card for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, like it could have been worth thousands of dollars right there in the binder.
Yeah.
There's a point because I'm almost sure Pokemon wise, I had in the original series, I had all the shiny ones. At one point, I had all of them.
Now too?
Holographic.
What?
You know what's worth a lot now too?
What?
Verified OEM non-knockoff Legos.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a big Lego market
on eBay. Yeah, individual.
Non-knockoff.
Well, the problem is there's a lot of Chinese knockoffs now.
Oh.
So
each piece has value because
you can
so how do you
individual
authenticate
pieces? Well, you just gotta take good pictures.
Or
I didn't know because like I know with like these cards, there's an actual authenticator where you can get them graded. So then it's like
I think most Lego pieces that aren't Lego don't put the Lego logo.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty simple. But
Oh.
I'm not an expert.
Dude, I worked at a Toys R Us, and the Lego aisle was like a madhouse. Legos and Hot Wheels were like a big deal. Hot Wheels, they'd have guys, because I was on the, like, we'd get there. I worked in the back of the house.
Man, is this professional wrestling or is this a real fight?
This is a real fight. This is
Look how fucking extravagant.
What's his? Yeah, it's his robe.
It's got a diamond mask.
Yeah, man. This is a big deal.
Huh.
It's a big fight. We're about to sign off so we can watch it. Anyways, I would get there, 6:00, and we'd start unloading the truck, and then the store would open at like 9 or 10, and there'd be guys waiting outside to get the box, to get it. They know when our box coming, because one out of every box, and every box had like 50 or whatever. I can't remember the exact number, but one out of every box would be like essentially a super, super short print car. So you could go, if you bought it, it's a really collectible, and you could immediately flip it for like $50 on the internet. And then there's like 2 or 3 in the box that are worth like $5 or $10, whatever, that you could go. So like we would go, these guys would be waiting for them, because it would all be like, it would say it in the name on the bottom, like treasure hunts is what they were called. And so a treasure hunt Hot Wheel is worth like however much online. A treasure hunts with the S being money signs are ones that you can go on and sell for like $50 to $100 like immediately.
Yeah.
So there was one time where a box came, and I took a couple of them and I put it aside because I was going to buy them, and the manager got pissed because there were people there because of that.
Yeah, there were people that come into the store
specifically for that.
The Hot
so
Wheels.
They were like, "But where is it?" You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I guess we could have gotten in trouble because it hadn't hit the sales floor. I didn't know that at the time, and I felt bad. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I heard they were collectible, so I wanted to buy a couple." But yeah, people were lining up for that shit. But they would do that for Legos too. People would steal Legos like crazy, but like all these crazy expensive Lego sets, and I didn't realize how big a world that was until I worked at a toy store. It was insane.
Legos are very expensive.
Yeah. And it's still the same thing now, like with Funko. We live by the Funko headquarters, and there's people that stand in line for hours and hours for this stuff.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I didn't understand Funko. When did it become a thing? Like 5 years ago?
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much once they moved in, and then it was like this weird thing where, like, it was like this weird. I remember hearing about them, forgetting about them, and then they became a big deal, and it was like, whoa. And then it was like, oh yeah, they're here in town, and that's like, oh, that's their headquarters. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then it kind of like cooled off. Like everything just kind of cooled off.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it didn't make sense that they got big in the first place.
No.
And there's some not to make fun of your stuff, but they're just dorky looking pop figures. I don't really get it.
No offense taken.
Thank you. I mean, they look stupid. That's all I'm saying.
But I've gotten rid of a lot of them. I used to have a much larger collection. I had Stranger Things, Mega Man.
But I can imagine that obviously this was something that was a hobby that you were doing as a collection, but then at the same time you're also selling them, and you've been selling them off at higher than what you've bought them for.
Yeah, and
so
that was the initial thing, was selling them.
So in a way, yeah, because you're always trying to hawk shit. But in a way, that's like the if there's certain people with the fucking the Hot Wheels, or what people are doing now with like basketball cards. Basketball cards are a very hot commodity right now. They're reselling. The resell, because everything sells out immediately. The resale value on these boxes of basketball cards right now are like $1,000 or more, and it's just ridiculous. Like boxes that you can go get at Walmart, hopefully for like $60, are being sold for like $500 on the second market, and that's all you can get them for. So then these individual cards start to become worth crazy amounts. There's obviously gonna be a bubble that bursts, but for some reason during the lockdown, people were bored and they started buying the shit out of sports cards.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with Pokemon cards too, because a lot of it is that when
It's
they,
one of those where
when
I
they
just-
release a series, you can use those cards in the tournament, so then they have value as far as playability.
Yeah.
So then they'll pay big money for that, and then they'll pay big money for things that aren't as common.
Well, like it's like, okay, with sports card collecting has always been something. But then when you were a kid and you opened cards and then you didn't really get anything that was big then, but it's like when you would collect sports cards and now you're an adult and then you had nothing to do and you go, oh shit, there's this whole world of shit that I used to do that I could have had money doing that I could still do. So, I mean, it's one of those things where nowadays, whenever baseball season comes around, when the first series of baseball comes out, I'm going to buy a bunch of baseball cards because you never know who's going to be the next superstar baseball guy that's going to be worth $1 million. So, like, I got a bunch of rookie cards of the Mariners' new guy who won Rookie of the Year this year, and I have a bunch of his rookie cards. So someday, if he becomes a really, touted, highly looked upon player like Ken Griffey Jr. was, there's a point where you could have 5 of those and you could sell each of them for a couple $100. Boom. There you go. You made your money back and some.
Easy investment.
Yeah.
Imagine all the parents.
Except you got to lug around those cards for 10 years or something.
Well, it's just, they're in a box. I have them in a little box that I have. I mean, it's no different than having a box from the headphones or whatever,
Box of silver. You
Like,
can store silver in them at any time.
I don't keep all the cards. Like, I end up just keeping the ones I put in, like,
I
sleeve.
say invest in precious metals.
I say
And
invest
put those
in
precious metals
Charizard.
in empty boxes of things you've bought, but you refuse to get rid of the box.
Yeah.
And then also buy stocks. Yeah. I got a buddy who's buying a bunch of Tesla stocks.
Good
And
for him.
apparently
I was buying
their stuff's
stocks-
been going up so
I was
quickly
buying
lately.
stocks earlier this year too, and I bought a bunch of Sprint stock that went up because they're about to merge with T-Mobile, and then they merged with T-Mobile, and then I just ended up taking the money and just leaving.
How much did you make?
I ended up making ended up doubling my money. I ended up putting like $150 in. I left with like 300.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like gambling.
Yeah,
But I realized it's like
gambling.
I would rather go back in
stocks
with more money than
Stocks
than
are just
like,
gambling.
I was just putting in
Yeah.
like 25. I was buying like stocks that were cheaper than $10. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I was doing any real trading. I was just like dipping my toe in with it, But anyways, all right, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. We had a good time. Done with the episode.
Oh, do we have stories?
Oh, we talked about the monolith. We bullshitted. Well, I guess we never really finished telling about what we'd sell our soul for.
Oh, yeah.
But
It depends on what you consider selling your soul.
I guess you answered. We never really just go into
If
the
it's
game.
just some guy on the internet who's like, hey, I'll buy your soul. It's like, well, I don't believe I have one, so here you go. And I don't, even if I did, this isn't a binding
So then,
contract.
how low would you go though? Like, how much would the guy have to be offering? And what if the guy ever came back through with to collect? What would he do to collect? Like, what is this?
Yeah, because what
what
are
guy
you
is-
gonna deal with when you in
Like,
real life?
What guy is on there on the internet buying souls? Going like, I own some people's souls. Like, there were people in high
A
school.
shrewd businessman.
There were people in high school, like there would be these jokey ones. I don't remember who it was in particular, but there was this guy who had on a piece of paper, some guy had sold his soul to him, and he had it in his wallet. And, I mean, we're like 13, so he must have sold his soul for a pencil or something stupid, but the kid kept it in his wallet as a joke, like, I own this kid's soul.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, that's crazy.
I think it'd have to actually be a lot of money, just for me to be able to afford a lawyer in case this guy came at me and was like, "Yeah, I own your soul. I want you to do this." It's like,
Yeah. Is it eternal
legally,
service?
I'm.
Is it maid service?
Yeah,
Like,
what the
what do
fuck?
you do if you own somebody's soul? What do you do with that soul?
Right. Do you become a slave?
which
Anyways,
isn't legal?
ponder that, guys. Ponder that, and we'll be back another time with the Brute and the Fruit. Have a good one. Check us out on our platforms.
Bye bye.
Goodbye now. Bye.
So long. Auf Wiedersehen.
What's the Neil Young voice? Bye.
Goodbye. I'm watching guys fight. Bye bye. All right.